Okay, question? Yeah, go ahead. She's shocked that I picked her.
Like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry?
You know, I'd like...
I think we can stop it right there.
Yeah, here we come. Hey, here we come. Hey, here we come. Here we come.
For those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Viva Frei. I'm a Montreal litigator turned YouTuber. I'm still a lawyer, but just less so a litigator. If you see that deer head above my head, it's not something I hunted and killed myself. That deer head is over 100 years old. It came with a cottage my parents purchased in the late 50s, early 60s. Now, getting back to this video. I do a lot of body language reading videos, and some are more serious than others, and others are more humorous than some. My most recent Khabib versus McGregor body language, which a lot of people took very seriously, but it wasn't intended to be totally serious. This is not going to be serious, but it's going to be accurate, because this is one of those honest, genuine moments on both sides that you can't replicate and you can't fabricate and you can't hide. Now let's just go through this, because it's a thing of body language beauty. Let's go.
Okay, question? Yeah, go ahead. Sure. She's shocked that I picked her. No. She's like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
In a tweet this weekend, Mr. President, you said that it's incorrect to say you're limiting the scope of the FBI investigation.
She's shocked that I picked her.
So I don't know who the reporter is, and I don't know what the banter is based on, if anything, or if it's just sort of the uncomfortable banter that comes in a moment of silence. But Trump says that she's shocked that he picked her. There's a moment of silence, and then she says,
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
okay, and here's where the fight gets started. Trump says she's shocked. What does he say exactly?
Like in a state of shock.
She's in a state of shock. To which she responds, no, I'm not. Thank you, Mr. President. But he hears, no, I'm not thinking, Mr. President. To which he says,
I know you're not thinking. You never do.
to which she responds,
I'm sorry?
there's so many things happening so quickly here. The first is a fundamental misunderstanding, and we're gonna get into the reasons for the misunderstanding in a second. But there's a fundamental misunderstanding because Trump thinks she says, I'm not thinking, Mr. President, to which he responds some witty banter that he thinks is witty banter. I know you're not thinking, you never do. Who the you is either personal you, the reporter, or you, MSM in general. We'll never know, but I have my suspicions. So he thinks she says, I'm not thinking, when she says, I'm not shocked. Thank you, Mr. President. No, I'm not. Thank you, Mr. President.
Like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
To which she responds,
I'm sorry?
No.
I'm sorry. And if you look at her face closely, it is a genuine dismay. It's a genuine hurtful response where she's genuinely upset, distraught, confused. Why would he have said that? Nothing in our dialogue leading up to this point has justified that gratuitous attack. And in reality, nothing has. And it's in her eyes. It's the eyebrows like, I'm sorry, what on earth did I do to justify this? I was polite with you. I said, I'm not. Thank you, Mr. President. And you respond with that. At this point, she probably doesn't even understand why Trump said what he said, thinking he heard what he heard. Not that it would justify it any more than it's justifiable. It's not, but...
Go ahead.
Hesitation, and listen to the change in her voice when she gets into the question. She goes from defensive, hurtful mode to professional. Let me get my question out in my reporter professional voice, and listen to the change.
In a tweet this weekend, Mr. President, you said that it's incorrect to say you're limiting the scope of the FBI.
I don't care about the answer to the question, and I don't care about the rest of this. It is strictly the misunderstanding, the attack, the defense, the response, and Trump's face after he says what he said, and he realized he should not have said it. Look at his face right now.
Go ahead.
In a tweet this weekend, Mr. President,
He looks down, takes a deep breath. He knows. And this is not like psychobabble projection. He knows he's screwed up right now. He knows it. His way of deflecting from it is by looking down, not acknowledging and staring at her in the eyes. He knows he's made a mistake. There was a misunderstanding. He spoke impulsively, and he knows that he was wrong for having done it, and he's looking down in a sheepish, bashful way. And let's keep looking.
President, you said that it's incorrect to
Keeps
say
looking
you're
down.
limiting the scope of the...
Looks up, but doesn't look at her, looks to the, I think it's to the right, but he looks to the side. He's looking up, but not looking looking up at her because he still can't bring himself to look up at her yet.
Yeah,
now he looks up at her straight in the eyes and is going to answer the question.
What does that have to do with trade? I don't mind answering the question, but you know, I'd like to do the trade.
It has to do with the other headline.
And now anyone who has dealt with authority, who recognizes that they've messed up and that they're in the wrong, this is the polite way of trying to sort of admit that you've made a mistake and pacify the situation by showing that there's a concession of sorts. No, this is not the question I wanted to deal with, but I'll be happy to answer it, but why don't you ask me another question that I want to answer first? It's sort of like the concession in light of the fact that you've just shot yourself in the foot for no reason whatsoever. Now we get to the answer of the question, and irrelevant. How did this misunderstanding come out in the first place? Trump thought he heard something that wasn't actually spoken. He thought when she said, "No, I'm not, thank you, Mr. President," he heard, "No, I'm not thinking, Mr. President," to which he responded with a defensive-aggressive quip. Why would he have misheard that in the first place? Anecdote. I was at somebody's house at one point and they said, "Don't do that." And I said, "Okay, I'll take care." And the person thought I said, "I don't care." To which they responded something rude to me. I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, I'll take care. They misheard me, and the question is, why did they mishear me? They misheard me based on the expectation of what they thought I was going to say, based on our entire history together as individuals. When Trump is sitting here with MSM asking him a question, when he mishears something, it is not only a spontaneous, momentary mishearing of a question. It is something that is based on and sort of born out of an entire relationship of history. Call it unfair coverage, or just call it disproportionately negative coverage, disproportionately aggressive questions, disproportionately mean questions. Dealing with this history, when he catches something that he thinks is yet again following that pattern of, he mishears what is an otherwise innocuous and flattering "Thank you, Mr. President," for "I'm not thinking, Mr. President," and responds with his reflexive, defensive, aggressive response to that, what he perceives to be systemic historic attack. And that's how fights are started, based on history, expectation, and the reflexive response. This is like the most jam-packed 1 minute of body language ever. You have the reporter who is happy, who is polite, who says something innocent to the president, who mishears it, comes back with an aggressive response which shocks the reporter into recoiling for a moment, then coming out and putting on the persona of a professional reporter, getting out the question properly with the reporter's voice. Then you have President Trump sitting there realizing he stepped in it for no reason, misheard something based on his prior relationship with the media in general, and that's it. What should people do? In the ordinary circumstances, apologize and try to reestablish a relationship. The problem being that you are probably just in the mode where nobody can ever apologize because apologizing is a sign of weakness that the other party is going to exploit, or the parties perceive that to be the case, where nobody wants to apologize because they just perceive that their apology is going to be exploited by the other party for nefarious reasons, which is the nature of politics, and which is why nobody can ever apologize in politics. Like, share, subscribe. Viva Frei. I do law vlogs, I do cooking vlogs, fishing vlogs, family vlogs, I do legal interpretations of things that are relevant in the news. I don't do any hunting. That deer was already dead when we bought the house. It's just, you can't throw something like that out. It's a beautiful treasure, and that deer should not have died in vain. I just hope that they ate the remaining portion of it instead of just using the head for a wall mount. Viva Frei. Subscribe. Hit the notification button. Stick around. You'll like it here. Peace out.